Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is again one of the most confident ones in the realm that he's representing. He's one of the world's top Bitcoin and blockchain advocates, something which is very, very mysterious to most of us, including myself. I'm not very, that's definitely not my area of depth, so was keenly looking forward to this one. He's a renowned public speaker, media commentator, and global ambassador for Bitcoin, SV Jimmy. He joined the N-Chain and has helped launch the Bitcoin Association after a 21-year career as an intellectual property and digital technology lawyer. He's a certified information privacy professional, and he has been named as one of the 500 leading lawyers in America. He's been described as a dynamo talent. We certainly are looking forward to his presentation. Please join me in welcoming the founding president, BSV Blockchain Association, Mr. Jimmy Nguyen.
What can we create? What kind of world do we want for ourselves? That is the question that I think is critical to everything we do. And it's a question I thought a lot about in my own life because my parents and our family had to confront that. My parents had the challenge, as well as the opportunity, of having to create two worlds, two lives for themselves. They went from Vietnam, where they were born and married many, many years ago, to having to create a second life, a second world for themselves and me and my siblings, our family, in the United States, where they still live in the Southern California, LA area. And in a couple of weeks, we'll celebrate 60 years of marriage. I'll be home to help them celebrate because they don't like to get out of the house, but I'm going to make sure they do. So my life became this question of how to create a new world for yourself. Because I was born in Saigon, South Vietnam, with my family. My father was a federal judge, a government minister in the South Vietnamese government. There I am, the youngest baby. People say I was a cute baby. I like to think so. And my family created a life there. But my family had to leave Vietnam the night before Saigon fell in April 1975, helped out by the US government before North Vietnam won the war and took over the country. And they were confronted with having to resettle into Southern California, and my parents, not speaking a word of English, had to create a new world for themselves in a new culture, a new language, and a new place to find work. They did so without ever being bitter, without ever having any regret. And they instilled in me and my siblings the question of, do we face this as a problem or an opportunity to start anew and create a new world for ourselves? And growing up, the things I learned from my parents, just watching them, were about taking advantage of this opportunity to have unlimited potential in the United States, to take new tools that were afforded to us and new education given to us. But above all else, to do something useful and finally do something good. These are lessons that I've carried with me throughout my life, and I followed in my father's footsteps, going to law school and graduating in the mid-1990s, during the height of the internet boom, when Silicon Valley was booming. So my entire career became pulled to the world of digital technologies, what will really transform the world. I spent 21 years in corporate law firms and as a partner in 3 major firms in the United States, helping companies from small startups to some of the biggest conglomerates in the world, Microsoft, Amazon, Uber, major motion picture studios, sports organizations, navigate the world of internet and digital technologies. And above all else, I saw that the internet could be used, especially in the beginning, for things that are bad, but there was unlimited potential in its power as data infrastructure. And that with it, we could do many things that are useful and, in fact, good. That led me to my career in law for a long time until about 6 years ago. I left to join the crazy world of Bitcoin and blockchain before it really exploded, because I saw blockchain as the next major data infrastructure of our lifetime that would transform the world the way the internet did, with unlimited potential, the capacity to be useful, and to do something good. And a few months ago, I had the privilege of actually going back to Vietnam at the invitation of the Vietnamese Ministry of Communications and Information Technology and the Vietnam National Internet Center to keynote speak at their Future of Internet conference to talk about the combined power of blockchain technology and IPv6, the next iteration of Internet protocol. It was a full circle moment in my life, being the baby whose family left the country, to being brought back by a government who saw my global expertise as a path to imagineer their future of the internet. So I want to spend my time today talking to you about some of the lessons that I've learned and about blockchain, but not just about blockchain, but how it is really the data infrastructure for all of these technologies you're hearing about today, such as from Ralph and other speakers, and how in particular we're working in our ecosystem with companies in Pakistan as well as in the region to really unleash the power of this unlimited potential. That is what I think you can use to imagineer a future. No matter whether your company is in blockchain or not, in any industry, it's understanding how you can unlock this potential, as I was able to do with the New World, that I think will really empower your country, just as I am now going back to my native country of Vietnam to unlock its potential. So one of the things that I got really frustrated about once I joined the Bitcoin and blockchain industry is everything you all are going to ask me, which is, Jimmy, what do you think about the Bitcoin price? Oh, Jimmy, what do you think? The crypto markets crashed again. And that was really frustrating because I saw blockchain as this powerful, useful tool. But all of the oxygen in the industry, everything anyone talks about is crypto prices. Prices going up, prices going down, Bitcoin going up, and there's too many coins. There's over 15,000 cryptocurrencies. It doesn't make any sense. And also, people are obsessed with things such as, why did the market crash recently? When a supposedly stable coin tied to the US dollar collapsed, and in fact, it really wasn't stable at all. It was algorithmic and too aggressive in its financial products. And the blockchain industry has been tainted by an association with crime and illegal activity, which has happened in its early days and continues in some way, just like the early days of the internet. And that was frustrating to me because I view blockchain as capable of so much more. So I'm part of a contingent in the Bitcoin and blockchain world that is trying to do something different, to try to actually make blockchain useful so we're not just focused on trading coins that don't really have any value. That's why I lead the global organization that supports a competing chain of Bitcoin called Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, the vision of its creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, using its original technical protocol, like an IP internet protocol, but massively scaling it so it's actually used. Imagine that, a Bitcoin network of data that's actually used to be what it was born to be, peer-to-peer electronic cash, a more efficient way of sending money across the internet, as well as, here's the real power, a distributed data network. A network that changes how we keep, manage, access, and monetize data, no longer in servers, no longer just in the cloud, distributed across the world. And finally, with a mission to simply make blockchain useful for everyone and every country. Because Bitcoin and blockchain was actually designed to solve a problem, not what you think about today, because most people buy Bitcoin just to hold it and hope that it goes up in price and they get rich. But in actuality, it was designed to solve this problem. This is an error code on the internet that you do not see. Sometimes when you access a website, you'll get an error code because there's something wrong with the connection with the website. Well, this is an error code 402 that's never been used. The code is reserved for future use. Why is that? It's a code that says, if it were being used, that a payment is required to access the website or whatever service or offering is provided by that website. And this is in the code because the designers of HTTP Internet Protocol foresaw a future where you would have the ability to transfer payments directly between devices or across the internet without an intermediary in the middle for digital cash or even micro, tiny payments. Because the internet is the most powerful way we've seen in the world to distribute data, to connect email, websites, social media applications, but its protocol did not have a native, natural way to send payments. Therefore, we had to layer on top of websites things such as payment processors, credit card systems, PayPal, Venmo, all of those systems which create middle people, which cost money, which cause inefficiency. And this is why you do not see on the internet the ability to send 1 US penny, tiny amounts of money, to access a website. It's why when you go to a newspaper now, instead of paying per article to read, they want to charge you a monthly or annual digital subscription, because there's no easy way to send just a small amount of money. This is what Bitcoin was actually designed to solve. Its blockchain was not meant to just be a global investment asset. Its paper, if you've never read it, this is the famed Satoshi Nakamoto white paper posted in 2008, outlined a system for peer-to-peer electronic cash to create online payments that could be sent directly peer-to-peer from me to you anywhere in the world without some intermediary, a bank or financial institution in the middle. It did that by using the concept not even of a blockchain, that's the term we use in the industry today, but by using a distributed timestamp server. Time-stamping events in history, a payment of Bitcoin from me to Ralph, or the recording of data. I purchased a piece of property, and in a future year, I transfer the title of that property to someone else. I purchase a vehicle. I transfer the property to someone else. And this is the magic of blockchain. People think about it just for Bitcoin and payments, but its network, its data record-keeping system, is just a time stamp of chronological events across history. By being published, and instead of actually being controlled by one person, what a blockchain does is distribute that record of information to many, many people, nodes that keep the ledger. That makes it harder to cheat because you're not trusting just one bank, one system to keep the data. It records the transactions in chronological order and thus creates this concept of distributed data networks that is really powerful. So I'm here to tell you that Bitcoin is more than just digital gold. It's more than just a speculative trading asset. It is what I describe as the fusion of data and money into one. It's right there in the word bit, data, coin, money, creating a system where we can actually store, send, and access data that has money value. That can transform virtually every industry out there. For that to happen, however, we need not just a world of good technology, we need a world of scaling. That is not what has happened in the blockchain world. Things need to support huge amounts of volume of transactions, data, payments to serve a country the size of Pakistan, let alone the world. The reason you don't see Bitcoin used, and the reason people are so confused about why is Bitcoin worth 60,000 US dollars, is because it's not used. The main Bitcoin network people think about under the ticker symbol BTC has kept its data or block capacity very, very small, so that every set of records added to the blockchain only has a small amount. So its network can only do on-chain 3 to 7 transactions per second. That is nowhere near to rival the Visa and MasterCard payment networks, which do 2 to sometimes almost 60,000 transactions a second. If Bitcoin was created to challenge the ability to send internet money more efficiently, it cannot do so at 3 to 7 transactions a second. Our solution was to take the Bitcoin protocol and let it scale big. Huge blocks, big blocks, as I say, big amounts of transactions, big amounts of payments, big amounts of data, so that right now we're able to support 50 to 100,000 transactions per second on our network. That means you could actually make a blockchain network that is useful. It also means it's very, very inexpensive to use, which is critical. In order to use a blockchain and send a transaction, the sender has to actually make a payment to the network, and that is collected by those nodes on the network. Because the transaction capacity of these other blockchains is very small, it's expensive to use. On the main Bitcoin network, it can cost 80, 90 cents to send a transaction, which is why no one's using it to buy coffee at their local Starbucks. It costs too much. Ethereum, a competing business blockchain, has such congestion issues, it sometimes costs 20, 40, 60, 80 US dollars to send a transaction. If you're a big company wanting to do many, many blockchain data transactions, that is far too cost prohibitive. Imagine if it cost 90 US cents to send every email. People would not be using email anywhere near the capacity. But on BSV, because we scaled big and unlocked the unlimited potential of blockchain, our transaction fees are about 1/100th to 1/20th of a US cent. Almost free. We think that should go even lower, one day to 1/1000th of a US cent, to unlock the potential of a blockchain to not just send payments, to power all the kinds of data that we can imagine in the world, to fulfill the promise of Satoshi in the white paper. Not having Bitcoin to send $1 million US dollars around the world. We don't need Bitcoin for that. Our banking system can do that, but to send small, casual transactions. With that power, you can do many things that are useful and good. You can write, read, and allow your consumer data to be put on a blockchain so you can actually monetize it and earn money from your data. You can do smart contracts. We can tokenize assets of businesses and people across the world and allow more easy trading of them. You can manage the data from Internet of Things devices and smart cities. You can power the data and payments in the virtual metaverse in tiny, tiny amounts. You can power Web3 and create a more decentralized internet. You can allow the blockchain to be the source of big data for machine learning and artificial intelligence. And you could even do computation on the blockchain. Well, I'm proud to say that your president actually is a big supporter and believer in blockchain technology. In January of this year, I had the privilege of leading a delegation of BSV blockchain companies here to Islamabad to host and organize the country's first Pakistan Blockchain Summit, and also be hosted for a meeting in the presidential palace, where we met and discussed the potential of blockchain technology in the country with President Alvi. And then afterwards, the president's Twitter account, which I've been following, tweeted that the meeting really allowed him to emphasize that blockchain technology can be a powerful tool for tracking transactions, reducing corruption, and increasing transparency in the public and private sectors. Because once you post transactions to a ledger that is public, it's harder to cheat. It's harder to hide. When multiple people are keeping track of the same records, it is harder to actually hide corruption. It's harder to hide things that are illegal. So what does this all mean for Pakistan? For Pakistan, you have an opportunity because of your strong tech talent, young entrepreneurs, and the entrepreneurial spirit of this country to actually really take off in the blockchain world. Let me give you some examples of projects that are already underway with partners of ours in our blockchain ecosystem, as well as friends who really are going to bring blockchain technology to Pakistan. First, you can create a world that is useful with better data processes. My colleague Mohammed Salman Anjum, who leads our BSV blockchain hub for the Middle East and South Asia, is from Pakistan. His company, MateSol, provides many different types of business and data solutions. He has a product called InvoiceMate, which uses the blockchain to track invoice management. So it's faster to see where invoices are in the process of being paid. You don't have to call the other company and say, hey, did you get my invoice? Why hasn't it been paid? Everyone can track the process of the invoice in real time because of blockchain technology. He's also planning to add an Islamic finance tool to create the first Sharia-compliant blockchain solution, using the advantages of a public ledger to fulfill the tenets of Sharia compliance. And recently at the African Islamic Banking Awards, received an award for the best Sharia-compliant invoice financing solution. He's one of our key allies here from Pakistan, and we are so proud to work with him on such initiatives. But is it a good example of how blockchain can do so much more? His company is also working to create blockchain for better government data processes. They have a project with the Sindh Police Department where they're using a blockchain integration to send enterprise resource data of the police department, such as ammunition counts, gun counts on a daily basis, to the blockchain so that they're publicly verifiable, because there's a public interest to being able to hold accountability for that type of data. That's just one example of the kinds of things you can use blockchain to help track better. He's also helping us to generate the use of blockchain for world of verifiability and traceability. For example, we're working with his company and the University of Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates to create a product that will allow the tracking of academic credentials and certifications on the blockchain to cut down on the problems of academic fraud when people lie on their resumes about what degrees they have. Here is a bit of a flow of how it works, where the university will issue a creator credential which gets signed with a cryptographic key, gets sent to the blockchain, and other participants in the system can use apps to be able to verify the authenticity of someone's claimed academic credential or certificate. A really good use of blockchain. In addition, a world with a better internet is something that is very possible with BSV and the blockchain. Today, we live in a world where we get frustrated. Every social media app and website we visit, we have to log into, right? We have different login credentials. But we have a world coming with Bitcoin and blockchain that changes that. Meta ID is a company in China that works on our blockchain that is changing it to this diagram you see on the right, where you have a single identity location, collection of your identity information on the blockchain that you can then authorize other companies, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, to access. So instead of having 8 different logins, 8 different sources of identity information, all in one, which is part of the promise of Web3, how to give you, as a consumer, more control over your identity data. And more importantly, maybe they pay you every time they're accessing your data on the blockchain in tiny, tiny micropayments. Maybe you're paying per article or blog post you read instead of a monthly or digital annual subscription. What if you pay for every Google internet search you do, but the search result qualities are better because you don't have to live through sponsored ad links? It changes the nature of internet's business away from this ad-supported data selling model where companies sell and make money on your data to one where you have more control. We're also seeing with BSV in Pakistan new ways to earn money. GameStorm is a top mobile game studio here in Pakistan that has used blockchain. They've got lots and lots of games, over 1,000 mobile games published, and they're working with us to bring the benefits of blockchain technology, such as enhanced security, improved user experience, to BSV. They've announced recently that they'll be adding BSV blockchain capabilities to at least 2 of their games in the beginning, MetaStreet Apes, because people really like apes in the blockchain world, as well as their Monster Truck game, because people like to race trucks. And this allows players to actually earn small amounts of micropayments for winning and doing well in the game, creating new systems of what we call play to earn. And finally, a world is connected with IoT and smart cities. We have so much power in the data that is managed in the blockchain that you can actually do really good things. A city in Australia, in Cairns, is using IoT devices on trees to collect data and send them to the BSV blockchain, creating a marketplace of data for the future. Here is a company from one of my friends in the Middle East and from the Netherlands, which is using biometric ID technology to be able to integrate into smart cities in the future, where you take a print of your hand and then it can be read by sensors. You could go to a grocery store and pay for things instead of with your mobile wallet or a credit card. A hand biometric ID recognition tied one day to a mobile blockchain wallet. Really cool, and more importantly, this can also be used for access to doors, going into buildings, airports, with the scan of your hand. And how that uses blockchain technology is you need a good place to store securely that identity data that multiple companies can access. So finally, I want to conclude by saying that the metaverse is a really powerful new way that we're all going to experience life together. And our friends at MateSoul, the company I told you about, are already working on several different metaverse projects here in Pakistan. With Funadik, which is a travel service company that helps manage religious travel for the Muslim community, especially between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. They're creating a hospitality metaverse. There's also an NFT marketplace and metaverse with the University of Sharjah being done to help sell art in the metaverse. And finally, Mohammed's son, Ibrahim, is actually launching as a young entrepreneur startup to create a cultural hub called Deciverse to really help preserve culture in this digital world. And we're seeing even digital twins, such as this company out of the United States, which is creating entire digital mapping of whole cities so that one day you can be engaging in a conference like this, lectures, paying for things in a metaverse that is this detailed. So I'll end with what I think needs to come next. Pakistan's president, when we met, really emphasized the power of training. We need to train the human resources, especially the young people of this country. And that's why we're proud to have signed 2 memorandums of understanding earlier this year with the Presidential Initiative for AI and Computing, as well as the Pakistan Freelancers Association, to begin the long process of blockchain education in this country. That's what I think is needed to unlock unlimited potential, to do something that's useful, and to do something that's good, just like my parents would tell you all along. They now are getting ready, as I mentioned, to celebrate their 60-year wedding anniversary. Now we have 3 grandkids in the family, and I'm trying to pass these lessons on to that generation so that they have an easier time creating a better world. As we continue this conference and you imagineer the future, I really want you to think about that question that I know my parents confront every day and have for over 40-some years in the United States, and that I began this presentation with. What kind of world do you want? Do you want a world of investment speculation, selling lots of digital assets that are practically useless? Do you want a world where the technology does not scale, transaction fees are so high it's practically useless? Do you want a world where we're using technology that operates outside the law? A world of darkness? That's not the world I want to see. I want to see a world of light. A world where blockchain technology is actually useful. A world of peer-to-peer microtransactions. A world of digital cash. A world where consumers can actually monetize their data. A world that only comes with massive scale to move us forward. A world that empowers every person in every country to trade in the global marketplace, to actually enjoy financial inclusion, to pursue new jobs, new careers, new potential. A world where you can actually control your own identity. A world that's more digitally secure. A world with cities that are smarter, more automated, more connected. It's a powerful world that I want you to envision. A world that builds dreams and structures to the future. A world of sustainability. A world of honesty. A world of transparency. A world of data integrity. A world of audibility. And a world of traceability. It's a world where we have new relationships, new business, new visions of who we are. Leaders in Islamabad, let's build a world of good.
Thank you, Jimmy. That was really powerful, especially when we talk about the intergenerational harmony. Each generation, of course, passes on the baton to the upcoming youth, and their world kind of dissolves away. But in our lifetimes, we are seeing these changes come so rapidly that we barely have time to see the previous generation's world erode while the new one takes over.